Weather delays on day number 1 give way to blustery conditions on day 2. Day 3, moving day, all is calm at the toboggan course. Welcome to Tournament Central, the Discraft's Great Lakes Open presented by GRIP6. It's Grant Zellner and Brian Earhart previewing this Saturday afternoon of MPO action. Eagle McMahon and Kevin Jones at the top, where they were when they started round number 2, matching each other shot for shot. And they take now a 2-stroke lead into round number 3. The rest of the field pressing the issue. But we will start by chatting about Eagle McMahon. Brian Earhart, you are on the ground. You have been watching Eagle throughout the first couple of days of action, and you have seen how he looks on the course, despite a layoff earlier in the season, which perhaps at this point in the season just gives him a little bit more energy to work with. What do you see from Eagle?
I see the whole package coming back together. I think one of the things that I noted was the forehand power is back. It's different, but it's back. I mean, hole number 11 down the hill, he throws a forehand. It looked like he threw it 40% power and goes deep in the basket, over 450 feet away from the tee pad. And he walks up, and one of his card mates goes, he didn't even try to throw that thing, and got a big laugh out of the spectators. But really, that's what I noticed. I think that's what his card mates are noticing. Shoot, the Eagle McMahon sidearm is coming back, and he's feeling confident once again in that shot.
Getting creative as well. We see highlights of him going to the roller. Went bogey-free in round number 2. We chatted with Eagle about how he's feeling and his prospects for moving day as he came off the course yesterday afternoon.
Just going up and down these hills, these swirly when you never know what's going to happen. But I feel like I managed it pretty well. Of course, there's some shots that I'd like to get back, but putting in the game generally felt pretty good today.
You shot 6 under par today, so 2 strokes worse than your round yesterday, which was the hot. Are you surprised that you're tied for the lead right now with 6 under, or did it feel pretty good?
I think it felt pretty good. We were definitely doing what we needed to do out there. We may have missed a few holes, but with the wind and having that 3-stroke buffer over the tie for third yesterday, I think that it doesn't surprise me.
Second round with this new iteration of the course. How are you enjoying some of the changes? Has it been enjoyable to play despite the added challenge?
Yes, it definitely is. A lot of the changes I think are great for the evolution of disc golf. There's a few that aren't my favorite, but I still think it's toboggan at its core, and toboggan's a top 10 course for me, so I really enjoy being out here.
Well, one last question that I have for you before I let you go. You said this is good for the evolution of disc golf, and I have not heard so many pros at a tournament ever welcome the addition of even more OB than this. Do you agree that we still need more OB in a lot of courses?
Yes and no. I think there's times that we need courses like this to challenge all the players, but I also think that there's courses like Jonesboro or Beaver State Fling where it's really nice to have a week where you're not really worrying a lot about out of bounds, and it really is an art form to birdie as many in a row as possible, because even on the easiest course people are going to struggle. So I like to see a majority of disc golf be like it is out here at Toboggan, but I think that there's always room for some good old-fashioned steady ed fun disc golf.
Brian, Eagle went 6 under par yesterday, 8 under par on day number 1. Despite shooting some very good rounds, he and Kevin Jones are just clear by 2 of other players, and then several more on the heels of them. With the storing conditions being as they are today, everything calm, do you expect a little bit of, we'll call it pressure, to go out and go low with a hot start?
Yeah, I think listening to Owen Scoggins talk about it this morning, saying the lack of wind confused her a little bit, and it confused the rest of her card mates from her perspective. I mean, you come out here with a game plan, and you're already having to play kind of defensive because of the way the course is laid out. With the added wind, pressure from the elements getting a little rough, you're in this defensive mindset, how can I just conservatively put down a good number? But now with the wind down, you're wondering, is somebody going to go 12, 13 under par? Do I need to do something like that? And then players are going to start changing their game plans. But really, it's the player that keeps a rock solid game plan and just gets those repetitions with those shots that they've practiced all week. I think that's who's going to take it down this weekend.
Ken, and current conditions say the wind speed right now is a single mile per hour. Just one stick man out there blowing around the toboggan course. Kevin Jones has an opportunity today to be his full creative self with conditions so calm. We know Kevin Jones likes to go over the top. He's got the power, and he's got a couple of creative shots in his bag. Of course, the grenade, we all talk about that. You're going to be down the fairway in certain instances, Brian. Will you be watching your head?
To be honest, no. And I talked to him about the grenade yesterday, and he mentioned to me, yeah, he's practiced some grenade lines out here, 16 most specifically. He was telling me how there's a left side lefty spike hyzer that he likes to match with a understable disc on a righty grenade, which is cool, but he said there's no reason to do stuff like that. And out here, there's really only a few spots where quote-unquote going over the top actually means something and gives you an advantage. So I think Kevin's in winner mode right now. He's tied for the lead, and he knows Eagle's not going to do anything overly aggressive. I think he's just going to try to go shot for shot with Eagle. And again, wind down, what a better place to be a spectator for disc golf. This is going to be great.
Just two back of that twosome, another duo in Anthony Barella and Chris Dickerson. We've seen Chris Dickerson perform at the highest level, taking down major championships. Anthony Barella still trying to break through somewhat. We've seen him for a long time and seen some really great flashes. 4 rounds of consistency is what it's going to take to win this event at the Toboggan course. What do you like from Anthony Barella in terms of showing some consistency?
Well, I think he's going to have to show some restraint in order to achieve that consistency. I've been hearing stories about stuff he did all week, whether it was practice rounds, the Pro-Am. Everyone's talking about the shot that he threw on 3 that gave him an actual putt for an eagle, which is just absolutely absurd. Hole 17, he goes for this max distance line on the left side and actually tries to throw a full flight. I mean, he's got all the aggressive shots at his arsenal, but does he really want to try doing that for 2 straight rounds out here when he's only 2 strokes off the lead? Who knows? I hope he does channel the power, and I hope he does throw some more high percentage shots. But for the spectators, I think they're okay if he goes bombs away out there.
Certainly is a lot of fun to watch. We made sure to catch up with Anthony Barella after round number 2.
Here with AB, well, coming off the course, there was a huge line of fans waiting to get your signature. What's it feel like to get that kind of support from this gallery?
I mean, it's amazing. Like, looking around, seeing my jerseys and my hats is literally just a dream come true. It just makes me so happy, and it just makes me want to play better. I threw the disc pretty well today. I gave myself a birdie putt on at least 13, 14 holes. I missed some easy ones in the front 9, but then on the back 9, I ended up finishing with 2 40-footers. So that was a solid finish for me. Hole 16 is just a toss-up. I mean, I missed my line by 1 foot, and then just the vines just dropped it straight down. And then 17 and 18, I threw a great second shot in 17 to give myself a 40-footer and made the putt. And then I pretty much played hole 18 perfectly. Just throw a sidearm up there and then sidearm to just give yourself a putt, and then I nailed it. So definitely finishing out, 1 under those last 4 holes is ideal on this course.
AB happy with the way he finished and knows that he is right there in the hunt with Eagle McMahon, Kevin Jones, and Chris Dickerson. Also knows, of course, Calvin Heimberg and others are hot on his tail. Chris Dickerson, I want to talk about his performance this week because he's been in our conversation a lot, Brian Earhart. But prior to this week, earlier in the season, it seems like we went a long time without really talking about Chris Dickerson. It's odd because, of course, he's a PDGA major champion. What was wrong before that is getting right now just as the season gets into these DGPT playoffs?
It was tightness. You know, you talk to him and he pretty much will tell you that overall there's just things here and there that he needs to clean up. I mean, putting can always get better, approaches can get better, tee shots can get better. It's not like he was having these glaring holes in his game that were bleeding him multiple strokes per round. it's just same thing as what Calvin said earlier in the week when he's like, you know what, where I bleed my strokes is everywhere, and it's not anything specific. It's just day by day, and it feels like that's what Chris Dickerson's doing right now. I think he'd honestly be very satisfied with how he's playing right now. I think the rounds to get to 12 under par after 2 here with this layout and those conditions in the first 2 rounds is really solid. So I think he's right where he wants to be. 2 strokes off the lead. The spotlight is not yet on him. This is his chance to pounce.
He, as well as others, get a chance to play from behind, and I like that observation. The spotlight not being on him as much. Calvin Heimberg, playing from the chase card, again, gets a chance to be the hunter rather than the hunted. He highlights all of the chasers, and we'll catch up with Calvin Heimberg and talk his game right after this break on the Disc Golf Network.
When I walk up to a shot, I'm looking for the target. I'm looking at obstacles around the target, specific landing zones, looking at the height. Knowing all of that, I'm able to shape a shot. I don't want to think, did I get the right shot? Did I get the right distance? Like, that's it, I got it. Confidence is everything, and the Edge Disc Golf Rangefinder gives me exactly that.
With a smooth, clean shave, every day is a clean slate. So who cares if you put all your money in crypto and called your boss an idiot? Barbasol. It's a can of can-do.
Ledgestone. Every summer, hundreds of disc golfers flock to the greater Peoria, Illinois area to compete in the sport's richest and most charitable event, the Ledgestone Open. But what does Ledgestone look like for the rest of the year? On the surface, Ledgestone is one of disc golf's leading retailers, but look a little closer and you'll find a group of motivated individuals providing the best possible service to the disc golf community. So whether you're building a bag, wanting to support your favorite pro, or looking to add to your disc golf wardrobe, choose the retailer that's as passionate about the sport as you are. Choose Ledgestone.
Saturday afternoon at Discraft's Great Lakes Open, presented by GRIP6. Grant Zellner along with Brian Earhart, and along with Brian Earhart is the PDGA's Matt Rothstein.
Matt, we have to talk action earlier. You interviewed Anthony Barella yesterday after a great round, putting him on the lead card. Did you have any extra thoughts?
Well, I've gotten a chance to interview AB after a number of his good rounds this season, and what stood out to me yesterday was just how talkative he was. AB is one of these guys, I feel like when he gets a little nervous, he kind of gets quiet. Yesterday he was talkative, he was loose, kind of in a way I've never seen him before in an interview, so to me that's an indicator that maybe, things are starting to shift a little bit for him, and I'm looking forward to see if that translates today.
Well, it's interesting. We saw such a heartbreaking finish at the European Open, and a lot of people were saying this could be the final breaking point that gets him to a mental place where he can finally push through and take down a victory. And now here he is with an opportunity. I'd be talkative too. With that said, he's another one of those favorites that could take down the big major championship coming up in just a couple weeks, the World Championships. Talk though, in the future, how can somebody put a bid in to get a World Championship where they live?
Well, we have a bid process for all PDGA Pro majors, and right now the 2025 season is open for bids. So you can go to the PDGA website, check out the bid process, see what's required of your club, and if you feel like you've got a special place, a special club with great courses, and you want to showcase that on the biggest stage and show the whole disc golf world, go put in a bid. That bid process is open through November 1st this year, so plenty of time to check it out, get your club involved, and put in a great bid.
What a beautiful time for our sport. So many big events coming up and so many in the future. Make sure to get involved. Get your city a world championship of its own. With that said, back to you, Grant.
Thanks, gents. Calvin Heimberg, part of a trio of players at 10 under par. They are all on the chase card in hot pursuit of Eagle McMahon, Kevin Jones, and others. Calvin yesterday managed to stay very much connected, thanks in part to a couple of 50-foot putts that he made. One of those putts, Brian, was to save a bogey, preventing that extra big number from getting on the scorecard. That really is the mark of a champion of Calvin Heimberg's caliber. salvaging even bogey at times and recognizing that that is a good score and a way to try to stave off that big drop off in momentum. What will Calvin need to do to put the throttle down a little bit more in these great scoring conditions on Saturday?
I mean, we're looking at a scorecard right now, hole 1, bogey. I mean, that's for him. I know he thinks that's inexcusable. And then hole number 8, that's another bogey that he really didn't need to get. I mean, that's a short chip shot of a tee shot left. So I know he thinks that's an unforced error. And then the bogey at 18. I mean, these are all errors that he can prevent, and that's 3 strokes there, and that puts him right up 1 stroke behind the lead if he cleans those up. So I think, again, for Calvin Heimberg, it's not anything spectacular. It's just cleaning up the little things, doing everything simple, correctly, and making a few more of those putts along the way.
Silas Holtz joins Calvin Heimberg at 10 under par. I think a lot of our viewers might not be as familiar with Silas's game as they are with some of the others at the top of the leaderboard here at the Toboggan course. So, Brian, can you fill our viewers in on Silas's game and on what it is about his game that matches him up well with this layout?
Oh, man, this is just another incredible young talent that's grown up in the sport of disc golf, and he put on quite the show at the Champions Cup this year. And something to note about the way he attacked the W.R. Jackson course at Champions Cup, he didn't throw a single distance driver the entire week. He threw fairway driver or slower the entire time and was blasting drives up the fairway, carrying them forward so much farther than other players that were throwing the faster drivers. So out here, this is a huge advantage for Silas Schultz. He can use this wide open space as a canvas and paint some beautiful lines with these slower discs that he's very well suited to throwing. So for me personally, this is one of my favorite throwers of the disc right now, and I love watching him compete. I'm glad he's shooting well, and he's on the cameras for everybody else to watch.
Brian, if we were to go back in time, say a month or so, I might have a similar question for you regarding Cole Redolin and informing some of our viewers that might not be as familiar with Cole about his game and about what makes him threatening. The problem is, and it's a good problem to have, Cole went out and took down Ledgestone with a masterful performance, and now he has arrived on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. What do you like in Cole Redolin's game over the course of the last month or so?
I love that it just continues to kind of clean up in all facets. I mean, his backhand was something that early on I had questions about. You kind of looked at his form. You could tell he was kind of still working through things mechanically, still trying to find his own style. And again, this is a few years back when he first kind of hit the scene. But now he's starting to come into his own, and instead of looking like somebody else, he looks like Cole Redolin, kind of similar to Gannon Burr, how he started out looking like Shoestrick. Now he looks like Gannon Burr. So these young players are kind of coming into their own style, and we're watching Cole Redolin not only have beautiful angle control, his nose angle control is gorgeous. He's able to flip the nose up on even a driver and stall it out and land it a little bit softer. He can do the same thing with a putter and float these beautiful approach shots with the backhand, and that mixed with a great forehand. Cole Redolin is a full package, and I love the way his game is progressing. There's so many young players in this same class that are still having these wheels turn as they compete at the top level.
Simon Lizotte was able to overcome a late bogey in his round at the 16th yesterday. He erased it with a birdie at 17 and then parred the sometimes tricky 18th to put himself into solo 8th and get another chance to pursue from the chase card. He's got a little bit more ground to make up. He's 5 strokes back of Eagle and Kevin. And he's another example of a player who may be like Chris Dickerson. We talked about so much a year ago and maybe haven't talked about quite as much in 2023, but we all know the talent Simon has, and we know what he can do on this course. Have you gotten any eyes on Simon during the course of the week?
Just like so many players here, it's throwing amazing shots, putting himself in great position, and then messing up something a lot simpler. I mean, there's so many situations where you have to throw a really precise approach shot from bad footing, and I think that's just where a lot of players are messing up, and Simon did that a few times out here. I think what he needs to do today is put the foot on the gas on the back 9. He was only 1 under par in the back yesterday, and I know the weather is better today. I know it's more scoreable, but he's going to really have to do that if he wants to start making up strokes on Eagle. But 2 rounds left on a course like this where there's so many stroke swings, 5 strokes is still not that bad.
Last week, champ Gannon Burr moved up yesterday about 4 positions, not quite enough to break into the chase or the lead card. So Gannon looking to move up yet again today in these beautiful scoring conditions. We'll check out highlights from Gannon's day number 2 and talk about Gannon right after this on the Disc Golf Network.
Feeling great starts with a great shave. Today, the world is in the palm of your hand. Or at least this can is. For over 100 years, Barbasol, it's a can of can-do.
Featured groups just moments away from teeing off on this Saturday at Discraft's Great Lakes Open. Grant Zellner and Brian Earhart. Brian, late in the round, holes 16, 17, and 18. They are the 4th, 5th, and 6th most difficult holes on the course. A pretty challenging finish, and the meat in that sandwich is the 17th. Let's fly the 17th. I want to hear your analysis of that challenge late in the round.
Well, this is an 800-plus foot par 4, and what I like about this hole is there's a lot to unpack here. So off the tee, the drone's going to fly this middle gap where players can throw kind of a flip up that rides a little bit right before fading out and avoiding the OB down the left side. But a lot of players are also throwing a wide hyzer right immediately off the tee over the road on that right side and hopefully matching the slope downhill over these Russian olives into the middle of the fairway. From there, it is so difficult to actually find yourself in a position where you can throw your second shot from a flat ground. You're throwing 400 feet uphill to a very protected green from a slope left or a slope right. It is so challenging to have to fight gravity while still trying to throw the disc upwards and keep yourself balanced. So this is just a really cool hole. Players are playing the tee shot multiple different ways. Players are playing the second shot multiple different ways. You see players going forehand up to the top, just trying to get themselves a look at birdie. You see some players trying to throw that perfect uphill flex that kind of flexes back at the end and sticks the bullseye. If you do go too deep into the Russian olives, there's actually some positions where you can throw a power hyzer over the right side. We remember Eagle McMahon throwing that amazing forehand straddling the guardrail on the road. So just a really cool hole. There's been a lot of historic events happening there.
Just now through hole number 1, the 3rd card of the day, which includes Aaron Gossage. He had a down day on day number 2 by his standards, of course. You were there watching. What does Aaron need to correct on day number 3?
Man, it was a lot of short game, it looked like. I think there was so much momentum built up, and it just didn't quite work out the way he wanted. I mean, throwing the disc amazing like he always does. Look at this massive hyzer forehand on 3. I mean, he feels healthy. I mean, he seems to be feeling good. Again, we heard it all day in the broadcast, just him not capitalizing in situations where he should be capitalizing. But I think if he could just continue throwing the disc, short game is it's feel. You can't have perfect form that gives you a perfect short game. It's all about how your body feels on that day and how well you trust your equipment. So if Aaron comes in today with a clear mind and ability to trust himself, I think the short game is going to come together and he can easily ride up the leaderboard.
We didn't hear Gannon Buhr's name very much yesterday, in part due to a turkey of bogeys early in his front nine. But after that trio of bogeys, he never bogeyed again and put together quite a string of birdies heading through the middle portions of the round and into the back nine. It moved him up ultimately 4 places, and now he is in position to try to move up again. We're kind of used, Brian, to seeing an every other event pattern in Gannon Buhr. How does he break that pattern starting today?
Well, I think he kind of put himself up against the wall in round number 3, so I think that kind of motivation seems to drive him. So that string of bogeys kind of set him back quite a bit, but still, he has an opportunity to shoot a heater today. I mean, he's one of these guys that can easily come out here and shoot a 10, 11, 12 under par, especially with today's scoring conditions. So let's not count him out at all. I think he might have gotten the bad stuff out early.
Brian, final thoughts on this. Anthony Barela shoots the hot round thus far on some newly configured layouts of Discraft's Great Lakes Open here at the Toboggan course. That's 9 down for the hot round today. The wind is down. Will you predict a hot round for today?
I think we're going to see double digits today, Grant. I think finally someone's going to come into a position where they play the wind well with confidence, and some of the holes that seemed pretty impossible originally are now very gettable, and somebody strings together a big one.
All right, we're looking at the potential of 10 under par or better on the day. All of the fireworks right here on the Disc Golf Network. The chase card moments away from teeing off. Brian Earhart and I will be back with you after the round to summarize moving day and set you up for what will be an exciting Sunday from Michigan. For Brian Earhart, I'm Grant Zellner. Thanks for watching Tournament Central on the Disc Golf Network.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.